What's up?
Lonnie is here, and we got the XR. Fits Lonnie perfect. That's his size buggy. That is it.
It's a little small, but I can fit in it.
I'm telling you, in the last video when we ripped this thing, these things are absolute, like they're a unit, aren't they? For a
yeah, this would be too much for a kid that actually fits in it, I feel like.
If me and Lonnie would have had these when we was 12, we wouldn't be here today. Yeah, they are super fast, and they do make a model. If anybody's interested in these go-karts, they do make a model. I think this one has it. They just didn't send it. A key fob so you can shut it off if the kids whiskey throttle towards an interstate or something. I don't know. But today we're going to try to squeeze more power that is not needed out of the XRX-R by TrailMaster. So we got these go-karts from Small Engine Warehouse, and our whole plan was to do some performance upgrades and show you guys the potential of this. Again, these things, these little I don't know, it says 170F. I don't think this is a 170. I think it's a 196. I'm not sure. This engine rips. It'll run. We're going to top speed it today across the field. We're not going to take this out on the road. So what we're going to do is, since we got Lonnie here today, this is Lonnie. Hey. So Lonnie's going to start off in the bottom of the hill, so it has to pull a good incline. So that's going to help us to see the performance parts making a difference. Then he's going to start right here beside those mini bikes. He's going to do this lap in the trail and come out up there. So when he comes out up there, that's where I'll start the time here. I'll stop the time there. So top speed, then he's going to do a lap time. Then we're going to pull this go-kart in the shop, and we're going to slap a Super 30 Series drive pulley. You can't see it because the cover's on, but this has a standard CVT. I don't know if it's going to make a huge difference, but it should help in hill climbs and reaction. That's what the Super 30 is good, and it's going to be easier on belts to not wear out belts. So once we get the CVT installed, then we can do the lap time again, do the hill climb and the lap time. I don't know if there'll be a dramatic difference in the CVT alone. So yeah, then we'll do an exhaust. Then we're going to use this air filter adapter, air filter and jet kit to jet it up. We're going to go with a 40 thousandths jet, or a number 40 jet, I should say. I think 40 thousandths, maybe, I don't know. Anyways, and then we'll do the testing again, see how much power we can improve and numbers we can improve. So let's get Lonnie loaded up and go do some speed runs. Yeah, that's real nice. Okay, now let's see it rip. Ready? Go!
Ready? Go! There. 21. I got that gap right there is not going to stop every time. You went faster downhill for some reason.
What was the top speed?
21.
I would have thought it would have got a little higher. From what it feels?
Uphill the whole time.
No, I mean from what it feels like on the trails.
Oh yeah.
Don't you agree? Like, does it not feel faster? Or does that what it feels like?
That's about what it feels like. I mean, it took off pretty
Yeah,
fast.
it rips out the hole. All right, so we'll go line it up and we'll get you taken off.
All right. All right.
Got up on one tar there.
Real nice.
Okay, 131.85. So 131.85. So on this go-kart, you have this dust cover, and this is just going to keep water from splashing on the CVT and dust out of it. Honestly, if you're not going to be riding in water a lot, I would remove this because it holds a lot of heat in the CVT belt. You can see we're missing a bolt here. We're not going to put this back on. It looks like there's no bolt up here, so it's going to be a 10 mil right here. There's a bolt right there. It's very hard to see because of how this setup is. And there we go. So you can see that just opens up a standard CVT. Now you can slip the belt off by touching the hot block and burning your hand. And getting that off there.
How's the belt feel?
It's hot. The belt's getting a little wear already, but we've been pulling some weight on this. See if that electric ratchet will break that hog loose. Clutch drop it. Take it off, full spin it. Yeah. Now just grab that and absolutely sear your hand off. You can just slide the CVT right off. This is the quickest upgrade you can do. And it's going to save you belts and should, whether the time will tell it or not, it should give us a little jump in power. Slide that back bell off. Now, looking at this back bell, flip it over. You can see this CVT pulley, the stock one has a dual ball bearing setup, and that's to help where the go-kart won't creep at idle. But our Super 30 series only has this size board. So it's going to be that much from this size to this size smaller. So that means our belt is going to be a little floppy. So we're going to see if we have a brand new 788 belt so it doesn't mess with our numbers, because of the fact that it would be taken off at a higher gearing ratio with the Super 30. So this Super 30 series has roller weights is why it differs. And so you can see this rounded shaped pulley compared to this kind of tapered pulley. So what this is doing, this is very hot still. Let's flip it over. So we have this weight inside of there with this spring around it, and as centrifugal force happens, it separates these two weights and pushes them apart, and this spring controls at what RPM that happens. But there's so much friction in there because these are sliding on that puck and this puck in there. So this gets extremely hot compared to the Super 30 series, where it's using basically a ball bearing. It isn't ball bearing, but it's rollers, but same concept as a ball bearing, and rolls on this rounded to push that bell inward to close and let the belt ride up. We have a video on 30 series CVT coming out very soon, so stay tuned on the channel. So with this Super 30, we got to install our own keyway. This one has one built in inside this puck right there. You can kind of see it, but the Super 30 does not. So we have to set a key on there first. The alignment should be the same. There we go. And we should be able to use the same bolt. So we're going to get rid of this. We don't need that. That was only for that CVT. This should be the same size bolt. So we found this Coleman KT196 belt. I don't know if it's going to be too tight. We'll know if it creeps any. So again, we're going to try to roll this on. It might be. And we'll know.
There it is.
No, that's going to be perfect. So I would go with that. What was it, 59.59?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, so we're ready to, we're not putting the cover back on. Leave it like this. That'll help a lot of heat get off of it. If you're riding in water, then I would put it on. If not, I'd take it off from day one. So let's test this thing out again.
All right.
All right.
All right. little better?
It got even worse.
Really?
So I just think it's because it's loosening up like the power.
Yeah.
That basically what's happened is it's just hitting the governor faster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, it's just more of a knot than normal.
It's just knocking now.
All right, so now we do the jet, air filter, and exhaust. Then we can, what was it?
Spider.
Then we can modify the governor after that run and let it rev a little further. If we blow it up, oh well. See? Yeah, see you in the garage. All right, so me and Lonnie was talking. So basically the next phase on this engine would be to give it more fuel and more air, let it breathe in and out better. So we'd be taking off this restricted muffler, taking off this restricted air box, putting a high flow exhaust, jetting up the carb, and a open style air filter. Now there is a downside. Again, like with the belt guard, we can get more water into our carb. If we're riding in mud, I would probably buy some form of air box. For this, we're going to suck a lot more dirt, so you're going to want to pre-filter and you're going to want to oil your air filter. But this thing's hitting the governor so hard. The reason the Super 30 is allowing it to hit the governor so fast and so hard is because now there's so much less friction and the engine's able to perform better than it did with that crap style pulley. So even though, yes, it did hurt us, it's actually showing that the Super 30 is better.
It's doing what it's supposed to do. It's just now we're actually hitting the rev limiter.
Yes. And I'm worried. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. This is one of the cheapest modifications. I don't recommend doing it until you do a flywheel and especially valve springs, because the valve springs in these engines are extremely light. But there is a spring right there. There's an arrow on screen pointing towards it. So if we zip tie that spring so it can't separate, then we bypass the governor. Again, I do not recommend you do this unless you put the appropriate performance parts that support it, meaning valve springs, at least 18 pounds. I would go ahead and jump up to 26, and then a cast aluminum flywheel, but you will lose your charging system. There are downfalls. You can actually, the valve springs is the important part. You can run the stock flywheel as long as you're not revving over like 5,000 RPMs, because race karts do it all the time with this flywheel. I'm not recommending you do it, but it said that you can run this stock flywheel. As long as you're not running the 8,000 RPMs, that's where like 6 and up, it starts getting dangerous. So what we're gonna do is slide this small zip tie through this spring coil. I'm gonna loop it back around. And there are all these holes, and that will adjust your governor as well. We're skipping that process. So you don't want to squeeze it too tight. You're gonna push your zip tie down. Ow, that metal's hot. Okay, before you start this, you're gonna want to jack up the rear end to make sure that you're not pulling the throttle any. You don't want this thing to take off. This has neutral, so we're gonna pop it neutral, start it, and we're gonna rev it up to see if we can hear the difference. Idle may be a little high. Okay, yeah. Looks like we can tighten it a smidge. It might be a little high idle, but we'll leave that for now.
Now I gotta remember, I can't just full throttle it the whole time, or it will warp a valve.
Technically you can. Yeah, it's going to warp a valve, but I don't want that to skew your numbers, you know? So what we'll do is, I think we should swap over to the heavier valve springs right now, because it's super easy. We don't have to pull the engine, and it's going to help us to not float the valves, because we know the governor is not going to be hitting until later now. So I'm going to grab some 26-pound valve springs. Pretty simple, as long as you buy the tool from rbgcars.com. Who's that? Oh, me. That helps you to pop these. Actually, with this style, you don't even need the tool. So don't shop it over. Like, hurt myself. So first, we're gonna unhook the spark plug wire, get it tucked out of the way. We got 4 10s holding the valve cover on. The valve seemed a little loose when we was doing our testing, because you could hear the valve start rattling. We are not letting this thing cool down. We're gonna make sure, see where you just spin it around, the exhaust is gonna open. Then we'll see that the intake opens, and then after the intake closes, the exhaust is gonna crack a little bit. You see it move down. That is a compression release. So The reason that's there, that's the mechanism on the back of the cam that helps you to pull start this engine. If you didn't have that, it would be pretty hard, even though it's a small engine. So next we're going to use a 10 and hold the jam nut, which is the nut on top, and that's what actually locks everything down. We're going to hold a 14 on the back adjuster. We're going to break this loose. We're going to loosen them up so we can pull the push rods and we can get the valve springs out there. If you hold it like this, you can kind of squeeze the 2 wrenches together, and that broke it loose. You're going to adjust the adjuster and the lock nut. Slide that out of the way. You can leave the push rod and everything because we're just wanting to get to that valve spring, valve retainer. This is kind of restricted being on the go-kart, but we're in the middle of testing, so we're not going to remove it. Okay, we adjust that all the way out. And then we can flip that to the side. Biggest issue now is once we release these valve springs, the valve can just fall and hit the piston. So you need to put something in the cylinder to hold the valves up. You can do this in a couple different ways. You can use a piece of rope, and you can just with a pick feed a rope, as much rope as you can inside the cylinder, and that will give you space in there to block the valve from falling. That's the way we used to always do it. Or you can buy an air setup to check compression, and you can convert it and put it on an air pressure regulator so you can plug it up with. But when you hook those up, you need the piston at bottom dead center. Right now it's at top dead center. It's all the way up. So once you hook up air, if you put air in, it's going to slam that piston down. So you can use air and hold the valves up, and that's a lot easier. We're going to do the rope method because we know people have rope sitting around. So first off, we're going to break loose the spark plug. It looks like we're actually jetted really nice. You know, I was saying it might, but that's a perfect color spark plug that you want. All right, so we got an old pull start cord. This will work perfectly fine. So we're just going to feed this down into the cylinder and get as much as possible. I'm going to use a pick to kind of stab into it and drag it in there. We're going to feed as much as we possibly can get in there. This is old pull start rope, just full of dirt. Really good for the cylinder walls. It was we rotated the piston on down because it was at top dead center, and that'll allow you to really shove the string down in there. Then hand rotate the CVT pulley back up, and now you can see it's only going to fall in a little bit. So on the exhaust, we have a lash cap. So only the exhaust has them on these engines. Now you can see that little hole there. We push this down into the side. You can see how easy that is. Look, these are crazy lightweight. What we did is you can see the thickness difference between our new 18s and these. I can squeeze that pretty easy. These are a lot harder. We just set the new valve spring on there. We set this, let me get my thumb out of the way. The rocker's kind of, let me turn this way. And there we go. And now we push it up a little bit so we can put our lash cap in there. That one is done. We don't have to worry about our valve falling down because of the rope. Got that one. And our new valve spring. It is time to change the oil, but we're switching over to a 223 Wildcat on the next video. So we're not wanting to waste anything. Now we can reset our valve lash. First, we got the rope out there. Now we can put our rockers back on our push rods, hold down, and we can feel where. Okay, there we go. Now we can snug the adjuster nut, the inside nut up on both sides. We got this one that fell off. So the inside bigger 14 mil is adjuster. This can be a 13 on some models, and then a 10 out here. So this is locking everything in. This is adjusting it. And what I've found when setting valve lash on these is we've got a 3/1000 filler gauge. It fits tight, but watch, once we tighten this nut up, it's going to be too tight. See, now we can't move that. So you always want to go looser than you think you want. Tighten it. Still too tight. Just going to pull this wrench off so I can get a better angle. Loosen it. Go looser. Tighten it. It's getting better. Break the nut loose. That's what we want. So you want to make this where it's got a good drag. Then you're going to tighten it more. That's a perfect amount of drag. So we're going to do this to both cylinders. Then you want to rotate it fully back around a couple times and recheck your valve lash a couple times like that. And then our valve lash will be set. So I'm going to get this done and we're going to go test it with a zip tied governor. One thing right off the bat, the valve noise is way better. It had quite the rattle to it before. Ready, steady, go!
Ready?
Go! Yeah, not as much as you'd think, but that's a
slower
big.
than the first time still. It's faster than the last time. But
was it?
Yeah, the first one was 131.
I keep messing up, like thinking. I mean, it's way better. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, it was violent.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's almost like, how did you get that good of a time on the first run? It makes no sense.
All right, so let's see if we can beat 21. All right. Same speed, 21. Okay. Same exact top speed.
Really? Mm-hmm. And it feels higher?
Huh?
It feels like a higher governor?
Yeah, it didn't hit the rev limiter at all.
That's crazy. Maybe it just doesn't have enough power. Like, that's what the mini bike was. It don't have enough power to push it any faster. You know what I mean? That's strange. So, but it's so crazy. Your time was way better on the first one. Are we liars? Maybe. Maybe we're a bunch of liars. Pull back at the shop. Let's make some power. Burns. Right, now that our testing is
complete
and didn't really tell us nothing, we're going to pull off this exhaust and we're going to try to install this exhaust. This is off Braxton's old go-kart from back in the day. If this won't fit, we have another one that we can probably make work, but we'll see. So 213s pulls off the muffler. If this is going to fit. Down more. The air box is hitting it, and it's hitting this. Okay, so we have this little bracket here that held the CVT cover. Lonnie's going to take that off because we're going to support the new exhaust off that. We're going to reuse that bolt because we have this exhaust, and this is off the Dingo, and it actually, we don't have a gasket on there yet. The air box is still a little bit in the way, but look at that. As long as we can squat the suspension without hitting it. That's a sick setup though.
It's lower than the factory. Because this goes in when it comes down too.
Okay. Alright, so we're going to do the air box first. So set that aside. So with this, of course, you got the wing nut on top. Slide the air box off.
Another wing nut.
Another wing nut. Okay, air filter, this little piece. Now, we have a tin right here. We need to keep this bracket. This is a choke bracket, so we're only taking out the tin, and then we'll have to put it right back in once we get it off. So we got that tin out. We're going to keep this. Then we have 2 tins on the face of the carb over here. And now if you'll shut the fuel off, and because that'll let it clear this body, kind of, there's a pipe that's going to come out with it that goes to the valve cover. Now this breather right here goes to the gas tank to let it vent. We can actually just zip tie this to the chassis down here like so, and if any gas sloshes out, it'll pour out this or any vapors. We can also keep this, shove it back in there, and put a little filter on that so it don't suck up a bunch of dirt. So now we have this with the choke bracket. Now we do not need this choke bracket on a go-kart because it has this cable style choke, and we're going to keep that. Just make sure we're putting the filter on right, or the adapter, by making sure all the holes are opened up that need to be. Then we can put our 2 tins back on for this. Okay, now this air box had this little spacer, so we're going to find this spacer that's this thick to put in between this to allow this to line up correctly, because we don't want it lower or too high. We want it at the right height. I'm going to use a 3/8 nut, set it down, use the original bolt, and we're going to sandwich that all in there. There we go. Let's test the choke up here. Stay right there. Everything look good? Mm-hmm. All right, now we need to pull the carb bowl with a 10 mil. We got the fuel shut off still from where we pulled the air box off. We're going to pull this 10 mil, let the fuel drain. We're going to put a bowl under there, and then we can swap out that main jet. We're going to go, the kit came with a 38, but I'm going to go with a number 40. And is that 40 thousandths? Yes, a 40 thousandths jet, because it seems to work better for our area. So I'll be putting a 40 thousandths in this carb. I don't know, some of these carbs have a jet you can't take off. Let's hope that's not the case. And that would stink. You pick up on the bowl once you loosen it, it'll allow the fuel to drain out. So once this drain, we'll take the bowl all the way off. You need to get a screwdriver that fits like real good in the jet, because it's very easy to strip out these jets. There's our bowl. There is a gasket that sets in the carb. Sometimes it comes off on the bowl. This one didn't, which is a good thing. Just make sure you don't pinch it. The jet is located right in here. It's a flathead, and it's a smaller flathead drive. The lugs are tight. This emulsion tube is going to fall out after the jet. We're going to reuse this emulsion tube. Our jet hit the ground, but we don't care. So it sets just like that in there. So the screwdriver slit goes down. Slide our jet in. Feed our popping hot screwdriver, because we just got done grinding the far end of it. Make sure you're not cross-threading. I couldn't tell you whether I am or not. Alright, now we can put our bowl back on and tighten up our tin. It just goes on there. You can point this drain any which direction. We can tighten that down. When we turn our fuel on, we can check for any kind of fuel leaks around the bowl before riding. Remember, after making modifications like this, you always want to either jack the go-kart off the ground if you don't have neutral, or put it in neutral if you do have neutral. Alright, we're not leaking, so let's oil our filter before we put it on. So this is a pre-filter with the K&N style. Alright, so we have this Blaster Power is the best stuff. It smells like air freshener for a car. Do you smell it yet? Smell that.
Yeah.
It smells really good. And why that was so surprising to me was most of this stuff smells like the worst gas. So it's cool that they made it. So that's good. I do a decent coating. I'll go ahead and slide this on. Get that covering all the filter. Now at first it could run a little rich because, I mean, I've always sprayed this decently heavy. This is not going to gum up your car. People try to say it does. I have never had that issue. You're supposed to have gloves on and really work it into the filter.
But we ain't got time for that.
Yeah, we ain't got no time for that.
So we had to do this air filter adapter, bring it out some because it was touching the muffler. It still doesn't have much room, but there's a little gap. We're gonna have to build a new exhaust, but for now, testing purposes, that'll be fine. And we're about to go see if it performs any better.
Makes a difference because I think the exhaust will be very close to that style. It'll just be, of course, not in the intake, and you can use the factory air filter. What's cool about this style, we had this same setup on Braxton's go-kart back in the day. The intake actually has induction noise. Like, we'll start it real quick because we can start it up. And
is it in neutral?
yes.
Hit the throttle.
Yeah. You can hear the induction and the exhaust. Like and this is a 40,000 jet. That's what I recommend for our area. We're in the mountains. We're 1,500. But that sounds good.
Let's see if it made a difference.
All right, let's go.
But it climbed way faster and gained 5 miles per hour. It climbed way faster and we gained 5 miles an hour. 26.
Really? Dude, that sounds so deep that I like the intake.
I do too.
All right, line them up. Wait. I almost forget every time to, all right. Ready, set, go. Ready, set, go.
Yeah, that was way faster.
Did you about wreck down there?
No.
Oh, I heard like, wah, duh, wah, and I was like, ah, you might have hit something.
I slammed on the brakes.
That shaved, I mean, from the last time?
It was 10 seconds, basically.
So this is what he just ran. This was last time. 36 to 26, 10 seconds. That's huge on track time. Now I want to do, like, I just love, give it a rev, put it in neutral. It's in an awful spot where the tires, it's just throwing dirt right into it.
Oh,
but
it was going way faster at every point.
Yeah.
I was getting up on 2 wheels a couple of times.
Now, the next video, we have to do a Wildcat 223. Stock for stock should be a big difference, but we'll do the same stuff to it. And then, this thing's sick. Give us a peel out real quick. Turn around. I can't get over how good it sounds. That induction with the exhaust.
Yep.
Yeah, wherever you want to. So the factory 196 would be perfectly fine to keep on this go-kart, but we're going to get a lot more torque out of something like even a 212, but we're going to go up to a 223 Wildcat, and a 240 would be even better. But as of right now, they're not selling a 240 electric start, but it's coming. So we're going to do a Wildcat in the next episode and do the same stuff. 28 from what? 21.
It was, no, yeah.
Take a screenshot.
The 28 was on this straightaway. For sure.
Oh, really?
I was hauling through.
Yeah. So he got faster top speed in the trail, which is kind of flat, if not a hair bit downhill. Not much though. But the 223 is going to give us a lot more torque. So I would expect maybe we won't get a more top speed, but we're going to get there faster. And the 223, we don't have to mess with the valve springs to zip tie the governor. Now the better, safer way is to remove the governor completely, because that gear is still inside spinning. It's going to be spinning even higher. So it's better to remove the governor. This is just some way to quickly show you guys. So me and Lonnie both was surprised with this outcome, completely surprised. Like when you put a Super 30 pulley on a go-kart, normally you can feel a big difference, like in just how it reacts, the reaction time. I've noticed a big difference since we started running the Super 30s. That our belts last. We never have belt issues now. Back in the day on mini bikes, we'd burn up belts probably every ride. We'd have to switch them out. Now I'm only going through a couple belts per year on our bikes, and normally they never fail. We just go ahead and swap them out once they get so much heat in them and stuff. So I was really surprised that I almost wish we'd have redid the time with the original pulley. But I mean, the time's the time. I mean, it isn't like anything. So that's up to you guys if you want to run a Super 30 series. Like, I know this wasn't the best advertisement for them. We don't make any money if you buy Super 30 series, but we truly do like them a lot. But the numbers, said that it hurt it. But with it basically what all this told us was the best gain you're going to get is the carburetor jet and the exhaust, definitely. But I think that also worked with the governor being zip tied and the valve springs. I do think it all worked together to make this final number. But this is still pretty significant. You can buy a Super 30 series pulley for like 70, 80 bucks. You can get a jet air filter adapter and an air filter for super cheap. You're going to have to make your own exhaust, or we have one coming out for this frame. It's just a loop just like this one, but it don't get close to the air filter, so you don't have to run that cold air intake thing. I do like the cold air intake because you can hear the deep induction noise like you would on a Civic. It sounds really cool in person. It's hard to hear it through the camera, but it's a real deep induction noise, and you don't get that without the little pipe. But we are coming out with the exhaust. Those will be available on the website in the next couple of weeks. They'll have a silencer you can pull in and out of the muffler, and then you can buy just any jet kit. I would go with a 40 thousandths jet because that's what works for us. We're 15,000 feet elevation, I'm pretty sure, last time I checked. So it ain't changed. Yeah, so we'll link everything in the video's description. Big shout out to Small Engine Warehouse for sending out these go-karts for us to do a bunch of testing on. We're going to try a Wildcat 223 next. And then we'll decide in that video if you're better off building the 196 or switching over to a bigger engine. I don't really know what the testing on this same exact testing. So yeah, so stay tuned. Let us know what you thought about this testing. it's not the best advertisement for stuff, but the jet and exhaust made a huge difference. So I would highly recommend doing that. But everything works together. But thank you guys so much for watching. We love you. Check out those links. Support your boy and the companies that support us, because they're the reason you're seeing this content. We'll see you on the next one, and God bless.